Don't worry about the language. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome back to another edition of Muzzy Buzz. Glad you guys are here. Before we get started, if you're new here, my name is Mort. I am the host of the Muzzy Buzz show. Make sure you subscribe and hit that bell so you're notified every time I create new content. Also, if you would like the content that I am creating, if you do like it, head over to patreon.com and become a member, or you can hit the join button down below here in the YouTube video, and you can become a member on YouTube, and you will get access to premium content where I put out other videos as well. So with all that being said, let's get right in the video. So Dovid19 released another video called More Ex-Muslims, and he's gloating about these comments that are coming in. And first thing, he spends like 10 minutes of the video I'm sorry, not 10 minutes, the first like 2-3 minutes of the video just reading these comments of they're anonymous. We don't know who they are. We don't know, what their names are. Most of them don't have any, YouTube presence. They don't have any videos. They probably signed up yesterday. We don't know who they are. They could be real. They could not be. We don't know. It could be Dovid talking to himself. I don't know. It could be maybe El Fadi or Sam Shimon just leaving a comment because, they want to make this video. Who knows? We know exactly how sneaky Christian apologists can be. After all, they bring all these fake ex-Muslims onto their channels and make these high quality production with like people like Ergen Kainer, and they make up lies and they make these dramatic stories, and nobody knows who these people are. So again, this could be possibly the case, but nonetheless, he goes through this for a period of time, and then he goes on gloating about it. But we're gonna listen to what he has to say in his own words. Let's have a listen.
See the vast majority of comments on my videos, but when I do look through some comments, I find a lot of people who are leaving Islam or who are thinking about converting to Islam but decided not to. I see that just by occasionally glancing at the comments on my
Oops. Something happened here.
Channel. And that's just my channel. There are a lot of other channels right now that are crushing the claims of Islam. And there are more of these channels popping up all the time. You see why Muslim apologists.
So let's talk about that. You think, I just kind of casually looked at the comments and blah, 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 blah. Who are you trying to fool, Dovid? You went back like 2 months into your videos and scrolled through hundreds, if not thousands of comments to find a few comments and then make a video about it on YouTube. You're not fooling anybody, Dovid. You read all of this. We're not stupid people, Dovid. All right. I can go through all of my videos and see, and I can highlight how many people said, thank you for making these videos. Dovid is a liar. I was going to become a Christian. I could do the same thing. It makes no difference. These are people on the internet, and we cannot verify. I can even admit there may be some people on my side who do that, who go and just leave comments and say, I used to be an ex-Christian. Who knows? There could be possibly people that do that. I wouldn't rely on that and make a video about that, using that as a tool to say, look, to validate my work. Are you kidding me? That's how you validate your work? That some kid read some blog of some Iranian guy off some place on the internet and says that, I'm 18 and I became an ex-Muslim. That is your chain of narration. That's what you take as proof. No wonder you believe the Bible is preserved. No wonder you believe that Jesus is God. You don't have a standard for truth. Let's be honest. Okay. The notion that there's all these channels that are crushing Islam. No, sir. These channels are not crushing Islam. Just like you're saying, there's hundreds of channels or many channels coming out that are anti-Islam. There are hundreds of channels coming out refuting your lies. Many of them, as a matter of fact, they have just decimated all the arguments. And the reason why is because none of these channels are bringing up new arguments. Just because a channel comes up with new lighting and a new host and better sound quality does not mean that the material is new. It's recycled arguments. You understand, Dovid19? They're not making any new arguments. And you only know about these arguments because our scholars preserved these works and had these conversations long before your pagan doctrines were coming into our lands, right? Or even into our minds. So let's not go there. Let's continue to see what he has to say.
Just are in full panic mode. Do you see why they're flipping out, babbling about golden showers, threatening women, threatening apostates, praying for Allah to give us diseases, doxing critics? You see the avalanche of apostasy that's coming. And those aren't my words. They came up with that phrase.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a moment. Oh, you're using, they're becoming unhinged and they're becoming crazy. And, what are you talking about, dude? You are the one that makes videos about Islam. You no longer want to make videos about the Trinity because you know it is inexplainable. You are on the offensive. Because you know that you no longer you realize that the Trinity cannot be explained to any rational person. So what do you want to do? You want to go on the offensive on Islam because it makes sense, because you know they're going to leave your paganism for a monotheistic religion that makes sense logically and is logically sound. So in order to combat that, it's not like you're calling them back to Christianity and say, oh, let's become Christians again. You just want them to leave Islam and you're happy with them leaving religion. Imagine that for a moment. A Christian who claims to believe in God is happy that people are leaving Islam for atheism, and he's actually even giving ex-Muslims and who are atheists a platform to speak about Islam. People who mock God, who mock even your idea of God, who make fun of Jesus, you give them a platform because that is how desperate you've become. Do you understand, David? It's you that's become desperate. You never find us bringing on an atheist to help us destroy the idea of the Trinity. We don't need to, right? Your paganism is evident for us to destroy. We are fully confident we can do that, and you know that as well too, and you've demonstrated that. Even in a live Q&A, you had to refer a question over to Shabir Ali because you couldn't explain your own doctrine, David. So it is you who is in panic mode. We're perfectly fine. There's no massive exodus of Muslims from Islam. Actually, if you look at the data, it says almost 2/3 of American Christians no longer believe the Trinity is a doctrine. They don't believe that Jesus is divine. The net number of Muslims at the end of the year are growing. We're surpassing your religion. Christianity is on the highest decline out of any religion. It is you that is in panic mode. You're trying to bring life to Christianity by using hate against Islam, but you're not, because none of them are becoming Christians. You have this false sense of hope that somehow later on they're going to come to Christ, but they first have to leave Islam. But no one's coming to your religion. They don't want to be part of your pagan cult. No mainstream Christian organization is going to host you on their channels. People like James White are rebuking you. Your spiritual guides and teachers like Ravi Zachariah, since you mentioned golden showers and all this stuff, your spiritual guides are known sexual deviants. They've been having affairs with married women, opening massage parlors, right? These are people who taught you. Even when they're dead, this stuff is coming out. These are your teachers. Morally bankrupt individuals. Your teacher of Islam, Christian Prince, he on a live Skype call will harass a young Muslim woman and use sexual vulgarities with her. These are your teachers. Who is becoming unhinged? My man, you're wearing a dress and wearing lipstick like a pig. The pig with lipstick. That's what you look like. And on top of that, you're eating a book, for crying out loud. You ate a book. Who is unhinged, bro? You're out there doing the most insane things. Now, I know you're a psychopath and you're trying to, you can't show your emotions, but I can see through you. I see you're projecting your insecurity. You are unhinged right now. That's why you make these videos, because you saw a video recently that bothered you. And I know what that video is. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on, but let's continue on to see what you have to say.
Phrase. It's Muslim apologists who are warning each other about the avalanche of apostasy. What are things going to be like next year? What about 5 years from now? Can an ideology that can't stand criticism somehow withstand a storm of scrutiny, a cyclone of censure, a monsoon of mockery? We're about to find out.
Okay, so he makes this claim that there's an avalanche coming. Listen, COVID-19, this avalanche has nothing to do with Islam, you moron. It has to do with the fact that in general, religion in the Western world is collapsing or is being challenged because of people like you. In the Christian world, like in the Western world, they have rejected the idea of a Trinity, and it has cast all kinds of doubts on people. These people are not leaving Islam to become Christians. Even though there are people who are apostatizing from religion, they have become apostates. The net gain for the Muslims every year is still up. So we're doing just fine. And again, it's not about numbers. This is not a numbers game. We don't care about numbers. Right? It doesn't. I don't care if the whole world apostated from Islam. It means nothing. It doesn't mean it is it makes something false because people are leaving. You think we care about their understanding of religion? You think I care about some 14-year-old kid on the internet who thought that it was Islamic to not ask questions? Really? You think that that's your definition of a standard? Like, I mean, what are you talking about? These so-called Islamic scholars? We don't care, bro. The reality is that your Trinity is indefensible. Nobody, I guarantee you, your evangelicism will die. In 15 years, you won't even know who you are anymore. People like Jimmy Swaggart, the Kenneth Copelands, the Joel Osteens, the Ravi Zacharias, all these people, they're gone. Nobody believes in these charlatans anymore. So your defense is to be on an offensive, where you want to just make people dissuade them from Islam because you know that they're not going to come to Christianity anymore. But your tactic is not working. And I'll demonstrate what I mean, because you had a co-host on your own channel, my friend, right? You probably know him as C.L. Edwards, but we know him as Brother Abu Yazid. And this is a man that you used to host regularly and was a co-host with you. And he leaves Christianity when he was with you. That means that we know, as your Bible says, the fruits of your labor. Right? You are making people run away from Christianity because they see your hypocrisy. They see your lies. They see that your religion is based on only the hatred of Islam and nothing else. But let's see what our brother Abu Yazid has to say about this.
And he conceded to my point that there's nothing in the Bible that says a person has to believe in the Trinity. And remember, he said to me, you're right. There's nothing in the Bible that says a person has to believe in the Trinity to be saved, even though I believe that. I know it's true, but I can't find the proof in the Bible. And over and over again, this became a pattern where you had these doctrines that had been crafted and designed by the church fathers and had been made canon by some particular church conference or whatever in the first 400 or 500 years of Christianity, and declared absolute truth within the church. And when you challenged and pushed back on it, people had to concede that there's nothing, you can't really prove it in the Bible, but you have to believe in it. Mm-hmm. You just have to believe it, or you don't have salvation.
Right.
Right. So at that, when I started knocking down pillars of Christianity through study, I said to myself, well, I don't know if I can be this evangelical Calvinist Christian thing. I can't do this anymore.
So there you go. Our brother Abu Yazid, when he was working with you, he realized he could start just smacking down pillars of Christianity. And it doesn't make sense. There's no proof for your belief, even in your own books. And that is why people are coming to Islam. Because at the end of the day, that's why you don't dare tell them to study the Trinity. And you don't dare tell them to read the Bible and to study the Bible. Because, at the end of the day, it'll lead them back to the same questions that our brother Abu Yazid had that made him come back home to Islam, because the religion in of itself makes sense. It's a modern religion. It's a religion that appeals to your intellect, a religion that appeals to your human nature, and a religion that appeals to, the way you view yourself in everyday life, meaning that, how to live, how to interact, how to work, all these things. This is something that Christianity does not offer. And your paganism doesn't offer this either. So we're not worried. It's you that is on the offensive. We see you doing all kinds of crazy tactics. I mean, you went on and did a show about Muslims for like a whole year, right? Like, I mean, you are completely unhinged. We see through you, man. You're not fooling anybody, David. All right? This is a desperate attempt to try to create this narrative that Islam is under attack. You tried to do this with the hole in the Quran narrative, the whole thing about Petra, it being Mecca, and all these things, and all the hadith and all these things. You tried this already, and it's failing every time. You try, it's failing. Even your own man, Sam Shimon, tried to defend his Trinity in a pathetic attempt, and he ends up saying that there's 3 different personalities. There's 3 different gods. You're failing. You realize that you can no longer defend this paganism. So COVID-19, it's time for you to stop hiding. Stop pretending that you're doing God's work. Just admit that you're too arrogant to admit that Christianity is false, and you just hate the fact that Islam makes sense to most normal people, but you can't deal with that fact, and you are as arrogant as the devil was. You know what the truth is, but you are too arrogant to submit to it, and that will ultimately be your demise. So that's my advice to you, David Wood. Make sure that you correct yourself. Make sure that you admit to yourself, be honest with yourself, and become a Muslim. That will be better for you. Instead of doing this weird thing you're doing now, creating fake news videos, wearing dresses, putting on lipstick, eating paper, right? Like just doing weird, unhinged things, telling people you're a psychopath 100 million times. All of this is nonsense. You don't have to do that. All you have to do is say, La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah, and simple. You wouldn't be doing all these crazy things. So anyway, that's it for this, guys. I think we've done enough here. So if you like the content, make sure to subscribe and become a member, and we will catch you on the next video, inshallah. So we'll see you then. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.